The jungle slept, unaware of the danger descending from the stars. A silent, black ship hung in the sky, a predator seeking its prey. A sleek metallic shuttle detached from its underbelly. It sliced through the humid air, a harbinger of chaos. Its destination, the emerald embrace of the Central American jungle. The air crackled with anticipation. Something alien had arrived. Dutch, a grizzled veteran with eyes that had seen too much, checked his gear one last time. His hands moved with the precision of a man who had done this countless times before. Each piece of equipment had its place, each weapon meticulously maintained. The weight of his experiences hung heavy on his shoulders, but it was a burden he bore with pride. He knew that every mission could be his last, but that never stopped him from giving his all. His eyes, hardened by years of combat, scanned his surroundings, always vigilant, always prepared. His team, the best of the best, stood ready. They were a formidable force, each member a master of their craft. They had trained together, fought together, and bled together. Their bond was unbreakable, forged in the fires of countless battles. They moved as one, a well-oiled machine, each man knowing his role and trusting his brothers to do the same. The air was thick with anticipation, but there was no fear, only a steely determination to succeed. They were more than just soldiers. They were a family, bound by duty and honor. Mac, the muscle, a mountain of a man with a dry wit. His strength was legendary, his presence imposing. But beneath the tough exterior was a man who cared deeply for his team. He was their protector, always ready to put himself in harm's way to keep his brothers safe. His humor, though often dry, was a source of comfort in the darkest of times. He could lighten the mood with a single quip, reminding them all that even in the face of danger, there was room for laughter. Billy, the tracker, silent and deadly as a viper, his connection to the jungle almost supernatural. He moved with a grace that belied his lethal skills, blending into the environment as if he were a part of it. His senses were razor sharp, able to detect the slightest movement, the faintest sound. He was their eyes and ears, their guide through the treacherous terrain. His knowledge of the jungle was unparalleled, and his ability to navigate its dangers was a vital asset to the team. He was a man of few words, but his actions spoke volumes. Pancho, the heart, always ready with a joke, even when the situation was grim. His laughter was infectious, a beacon of hope in the midst of chaos. He had a knack for finding humor in the most unlikely places, lifting the spirits of his comrades when they needed it most. His optimism was unwavering, a reminder that no matter how dire the circumstances, there was always a reason to keep fighting. He was the glue that held them together, his light-hearted nature a counterbalance to the harsh realities of their world. And Hawkins, the brains, his mind a weapon as potent as any firearm. His intellect was his greatest asset, his ability to strategize and plan second to none. He could analyze a situation in an instant, devising a plan of action that maximized their chances of success. His calm demeanor and sharp mind were invaluable in the heat of battle, providing clarity and direction when it was needed most. He was the thinker, the planner, the one who saw the bigger picture. His insights were crucial, his decisions often the difference between victory and defeat. They were soldiers, rescuers, brothers in arms. Their bond was forged in the crucible of combat, each man willing to lay down his life for the others. They had faced death together, and it had only made them stronger. Their camaraderie was unshakable, their trust in each other absolute. They were more than just a team, they were a brotherhood, united by a common purpose and a shared sense of duty. They knew that together, they could overcome any obstacle, face any foe, and emerge victorious. They were about to face a threat unlike any they had ever encountered. The jungle was alive with unseen dangers, and the enemy they were up against was unlike any they had faced before, but they were ready. They had trained for this, prepared for the unknown. Their resolve was unshakable, their determination unwavering. They knew that whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, as a team, as brothers. The mission was clear, the stakes high, but they were ready to meet the challenge head-on. They were the best of the best, and they would not be defeated.
Their mission was simple: extract a high-profile target from the jungle, the local cabinet minister kidnapped by guerrillas. Routine, they thought. They were wrong.
A chill ran down Dutch's spine as they disembarked the helicopter. Something felt off. The air was heavy, pregnant with danger.
Move out, we don't have much time.
Dillon, their CIA liaison, a man of shadows and secrets, urged them forward. Dillon's presence added to the unease. His eyes, cold and calculating, seemed to hold a hidden agenda. The jungle whispered secrets. Secrets that had been buried deep within its dense foliage for centuries, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. The wind carried these whispers, weaving through the trees, creating an eerie symphony that sent chills down the spines of those who dared to venture into its depths. Secrets of violence and death. The jungle was not just a place of beauty and mystery, it was a place of danger, where the line between life and death was thin and easily crossed. The shadows seemed to move with a life of their own, hiding unseen threats that could strike at any moment. They found the helicopter wreckage first, a grim reminder of the jungle's unforgiving nature. The twisted metal lay scattered among the trees, a stark contrast to the vibrant green of the foliage. It was clear that whatever had brought the helicopter down was not a simple mechanical failure, a twisted hunk of metal swallowed by the green. Then came the bodies. The jungle had already begun to reclaim the wreckage, vines and moss creeping over the twisted remains, but it was the sight of the bodies that truly drove home the horror of what had happened here. Gorillas strung up in the trees, their lifeless forms swaying gently in the breeze. It was a macabre display, a warning to any who might follow. The bodies were pale and lifeless, their skin drained of all moisture, as if the very life had been sucked out of them. Their skin pale and lifeless, drained of all moisture. The sight was enough to make even the most hardened soldiers feel a pang of fear. What kind of force could do this? What kind of creature could leave such a gruesome mark?
Look at these markings. They were unlike anything the team had ever seen before. Strange symbols carved into the bark of the trees, their meaning a mystery. It was as if the jungle itself was trying to communicate, to tell them something important. I've never seen anything like this before. The soldier's voice was filled with a mix of awe and fear. What could these symbols mean? Were they a warning? A message from whatever force had claimed the lives of the gorillas?
Billy pointed to strange markings on the trees, symbols he had never seen before. They were intricate and detailed, unlike any known language or script. It was as if they were from another world, a world that had somehow bled into their own. Symbols he had never seen before. The more they looked, the more they found, scattered throughout the jungle like breadcrumbs leading them deeper into the unknown. Dutch felt a shiver crawl up his spine. The jungle was alive with a presence, something ancient and powerful. It was as if the very air was charged with electricity, making the hairs on the back of his neck stand on end. This was no ordinary enemy. Dutch knew that whatever they were dealing with was far beyond their understanding. It was a force of nature, something that had been lurking in the shadows for centuries, waiting for the right moment to strike.
Must be some kind of animal attack. The soldier's voice was shaky, betraying his fear, but even as he spoke the words, he knew they were a lie. No animal could do what they had seen. No animal could leave such a trail of death and destruction.
Dillon, his face pale, muttered about an animal attack. But Dutch knew better. He could feel it in his bones, a deep, primal fear that told him they were being hunted by something far more dangerous than any animal. Something sinister was hunting them. The jungle was no longer just a place of mystery and beauty, it was a place of death, where the line between the living and the dead was blurred. And as the whispers grew louder, they knew that their time was running out. The attack came at dawn, just as the first light of day began to pierce through the dense canopy of the jungle. The tranquility of the early morning was shattered in an instant. A cacophony of gunfire and screams erupted, breaking the serene silence. The once peaceful jungle was now a battleground filled with the sounds of chaos and destruction. The guerrilla camp, which was supposed to be their extraction point, was thrown into disarray. Soldiers scrambled to find cover, their faces etched with panic and confusion.
All right, team, stay sharp. We need to hold our ground and push them back. Return fire and hold your positions. We can't let them overrun us.
Dutch and his team fought back with disciplined fury, their training kicking in. They moved with precision, each action calculated and deliberate, but the enemy was invisible, hidden within the thick foliage of the jungle. The soldiers scanned their surroundings, their eyes darting from shadow to shadow. Their bullets found no purchase, hitting only trees and the ground. Frustration began to set in as they realized they were fighting an unseen foe.
It's not gorillas. This isn't like any enemy we've faced before.
Dillon, his face contorted in fear, finally broke. The realization hit him hard, and he struggled to find the words.
It's something else, something alien. We need to fall back and regroup.
His words hung in the air, heavy with dread. The team exchanged worried glances, the gravity of their situation sinking in. The mission had just become a desperate fight for survival. They were no longer just soldiers on a mission. They were survivors in a deadly game of cat and mouse, facing an enemy beyond their understanding. Every step they took was filled with tension, every rustle of leaves a potential threat. They moved cautiously, their senses heightened, knowing that any moment could be their last. Fear was etched on their faces, but they pressed on, driven by the will to survive. They knew they had to stay together, to rely on each other if they had any hope of making it out alive. They quickly set up a defensive perimeter, using whatever they could find to fortify their position. It was a small comfort, but it gave them a sense of control in an otherwise uncontrollable situation. Communication was key. They used hand signals to coordinate their movements, ensuring that everyone was on the same page. In the chaos of battle, clear communication could mean the difference between life and death. Determination set in. They were ready to face whatever came next, knowing that their survival depended on their ability to adapt and overcome. The jungle was their battleground, and they were prepared to fight to the end. Section 6. Hunter and Hunted. High above, the predator stalked. Its eyes, cold and reptilian, scanned the jungle floor, its thermal vision piercing the dense foliage. It had been drawn by the heat of the conflict, the promise of a worthy prey. The humans, with their primitive weapons and predictable tactics, were easy sport. It would hunt them down, one by one, savoring their fear. The hunt had begun. Section 7. The Vanishing Act. Hawkins was the first to go. 1 minute he was there, the next he was gone, only a bloody smear on the jungle floor marking his passing. Then Poncho, his laughter silenced forever by a swift, brutal attack. The invisible enemy was picking them off, toying with them. Fear, cold and paralyzing, gripped the remaining men. They were facing a foe they couldn't see, couldn't understand.
Dutch knew they had to change tactics. They had to become the predators.
Section 8. Dutch's Gambit. Dutch, his mind racing, studied the jungle floor. He noticed the subtle disturbances, the displaced leaves, the broken twigs. He remembered the heat-seeking eyes of their pursuer. An idea began to form in his mind, a desperate gamble.
We need to disappear, he rasped, his voice hoarse with tension. Become one with the jungle.
He knew their only chance was to turn the jungle itself into their weapon. Section 9. One Last Stand. Dutch smeared mud over his face, camouflaging himself against the earth. He instructed the remaining men to do the same, to mask their heat signatures. They set traps, utilizing the jungle's natural dangers to their advantage. The predator, sensing the change in the game, descended from the canopy, its mandibles clicking in anticipation. The final confrontation was upon them.
This was their last stand, a fight for survival against a creature from the stars.